Hi, I'm Kitty Vega and I'm leading the Isca Photographic Collection Project based here at the Devon Heritage Centre. This film is a journey into Exeter's photographic past and a celebration of the people working to preserve it for the future. Led by the South West Heritage Trust and made possible by the generous support of the National Lottery Heritage Fund and Friends of Devon Archives, the Isca Photographic Collection Project is safeguarding one of the region's most significant photographic archives. At the heart of the collection are nearly 50,000 glass plate and acetate negatives, many of which were captured by Exeter's foremost photographer, Henry Wykes. Born in 1874, Wykes opened his first studio in Exeter in 1914 and quickly became the city's leading photographer. His career spanned nearly 5 decades, and by the time he died in 1964, he was Britain's oldest working photographer. His work documents Exeter's growth in the 1920s and 30s, the devastation of the Baedeker raids during World War II, and the everyday lives of its residents, from shopkeepers and factory workers to weddings, sporting events, and family portraits. His images offer a uniquely personal and inclusive record of the city, including those whose stories have often been overlooked. Wykes was also a prolific aerial photographer, and we have some fantastic examples of this in the collection. In the 1970s, the Wykes archive was rescued by Peter Thomas, a local historian and photographer who recognised its immense value. Peter not only preserved Wykes negatives but expanded the collection with other local archives, including images from the Princess Elizabeth Orthopaedic Hospital, and added his own photographs, documenting Exeter's transformation in the late 20th and early 21st centuries. Thanks to Peter Thomas, the Isca Photographic Collection has become one of the most significant visual records of Exeter's modern history. After Peter sadly passed away, the South West Heritage Trust acquired the collection, but following a conservation report, it became clear that the archive was at risk.
Hello, my name is Jenny Barnard. I'm the Senior Archive Conservator at the South West Heritage Trust. We're in the Conservation Department at the Devon Heritage Centre.
All photographic material is made up of at least 2 layers, an emulsion layer that holds the image and a carrier layer that supports that emulsion. The carrier layer can be made of many materials including glass, plastic or paper. The majority of the Isca collection consists of nearly 40,000 negatives that are made with a carrier layer of a plastic material called cellulose acetate. The trouble with acetate is that it's susceptible to chemical deterioration, which causes it to warp, become brittle and eventually shrink. However, the emulsion layer that contains the image keeps its original dimensions, so as the acetate shrinks, the emulsion ends up buckling, causing the bubbling and channels that you can see here. As the acetate decomposes, it releases acetic acid, which is why the process is often called vinegar syndrome due to the pungent smell. Unfortunately, this process cannot be stopped, and the images were at risk of being lost forever. This is where the Isca project began, with a mission to save these images, digitize them and make them accessible to everyone. A core part of the project was sending the acetate negatives to an external company, Scan Film Store, who are providing high-resolution digital scans. You can see here the effect vinegar syndrome has on the actual image. Fortunately, the project has meant that most of the negatives have been digitized before the damage became too severe, saving the images for future generations. In addition to the acetate negatives, the Isca collection contains a vast quantity of glass plate, negatives and slides. These are being cleaned, repackaged and digitised on site by our volunteers.
Hi, I'm Sandy. My role in this project is I am using this equipment to essentially capture the glass plate negatives. Once I take the photos, they appear on screen. I then adjust them, save them, create a catalogue number for them, and then move on to the next one. Although it is just a photograph that literally captures a very, very short snippet of time, I feel it can say so much about the history, the dynamics, the relationships within people. The ones along Exeter High Street, they're really interesting because they actually place the people, the clothes that people were wearing, but changes from shop windows, from the buildings. It's a very nice way to look at the past and see how much things have changed or stayed the same in some cases.
Okay, I'm Lois. I'm a volunteer here at the Isca Project, and I have helped digitize the collection by creating metadata of the descriptions of all the photos. So it's basically just the descriptions of the photos, anything that's in a photo that could be of use in the catalogue. So it just makes the photos searchable in an online form. I studied history at uni, and I've always been interested in making sure that historical legacies are kept and preserved, especially social history and people's history.
But this isn't just about preservation, it's about participation. We're proud to be working with local organisations to bring the collection back into the community. Through our outreach programme, we've partnered with Reminiscence Learning to deliver reminiscence sessions in care homes, using the photographs to spark conversations about childhood, war and regeneration.
I was 5 when it started.
Okay.
The Luftwaffe at night, in the evenings, the sky was black with Luftwaffe.
Oh, there was, I don't know how many of us got in under there, and after the all clear went, we came out and looked up over, and all you could see was one red glow.
Of Exeter, just the fire of Exeter.
Yeah.
There was still, the Guildhall was still standing, and most of the cathedral was, but parts of it had been demolished.
Yeah.
Trying to go to school at one time, it took us an hour, over an hour, to cross the main road because a convoy of the troops, the guns, the tanks were going through the main road.
But in our street, my father was the only one with a car. Yeah, I mean, I remember going into Exeter after the war, and it was all flattened.
And then you said about the circus and the elephants going down the street.
Oh, I can remember the elephants walking down the street, yeah.
Do you say that was in Queen Street?
Yeah, next to Boots on the corner.
Broom,
Broom, Reed and Harris.
Broom, Reed and Harris.
Yeah,
Opticians.
yeah.
So
Sort of high class opticians they were.
And in partnership with Daisy, a leading arts education charity working throughout Devon, we're running creative workshops in schools and colleges, encouraging young people to respond to the archive through printmaking, storytelling and drama.
Hi, I'm Helen. I'm a lead artist working for Med Theatre on the Isca Photographic Collection Project. Yeah, so this group at Exeter today are going to be devising 2 short pieces from the photos. We are exploring the concept of time slips, which is a paranormal experience that people sometimes have where they find themselves suddenly back in time. These guys are going to split into 2 groups, and the first group are going to talk about what would happen if somebody from our modern day Exeter found themselves suddenly opening a door and stepping into Exeter from one of these photos. And the other group will talk about the opposite. So somebody from pre or post-war Exeter finding themselves opening a door and stepping into modern Exeter. So then we will have those discussions, and then they'll be devising some short pieces of drama based on that moment, that time slip. It's so enriching to be able to have the photographs to show young people, because I think they hear a lot about the sort of world and how it's changed. It's really nice to be able to give them a physical copy of that photograph and for them to be able to look at that and sort of learn to appreciate the differences in their own way instead of hearing it through the words of others.
I particularly like this photo because, you know, there are people dancing, like clearly friends and like groups of people who know each other in this, and they're all celebrating, and it really gives the sense that, you know, each of these people has their own story and has their own life, and that the photo is just capturing a good moment in their life, because it's not just the individuals, they've all gone through this war together, and for some people that means they've just come home from fighting, for some people, that means they're seeing their loved ones for the first time in years.
Chose the street party or the VE Day celebration. And I picked it because, like, growing up, I remember going to street parties and just like neighborhood roads, and they didn't look anything like that, like with a table beautifully set up. But I think we live in such an age of disconnect, and like our kind of relationships are virtualized and digitalized too, whereas back then it wouldn't have been like that.
Yeah.
And the kind of this idea that we probably need to remember history and remember the parts of history that we're losing through our kind of advancement and kind of clinging on to those senses of community.
In terms of the context of this photo, I think it's very important. Like, to see where we've come from as a human race, like the technology we developed. This was, what, 120 years ago now? And it was the first electric tram, and now we have things like electric buses, and we have access to so much transport.
I've chosen this picture of a bomb site in Exeter, and I mean, I think it's incredible the fact that this level of mass destruction, and it's just incredible the fact that this drastic change has obliterated so many lives so quickly. And if we're looking in a world where this is still occurring, and you know, it's brilliant that we're having these celebrations, you know, like Remembrance Day and VE Day. I mean, this is a brilliant thing to recognise the fact that we need to keep on striving for change, and there's still a lot we need to work towards to make sure that people's lives aren't destroyed in this drastic manner.
I think it would be great for more people to see these photos. I think that's really important. And I think for younger generations especially to see these photos and to have not just this abstract idea of what Exeter used to be, but to also understand how it relates to them and their lives and also the future.
Hello, I am Abby Stobart. I'm here working with Med Theatre, brought here through DAISY, Devon Arts in Schools Initiative. I'm here at St Nicholas Primary in Exeter, and today we've been running a workshop, the drama workshop, mentoring the children to take inspiration from the archive photographs of Henry Wykes. We've done loads of games to get them exploring the themes of World War II, which was a lot of what Henry Wykes was looking at in his photos. But there's some other photos, such as when the circus came to Exeter, and they've been having loads of fun reenacting what the elephants might have been doing in a photo, or what the dancing bear might have been doing in 1910. And they got to use their imaginations to really decide what might have happened before that photo was taken and after that photo was taken. And they brought that to life using their own bodies.
I'm her co-worker.
She's a co-producer, co-worker.
I'm getting everything ready. We're getting the food plated. We're gonna wipe the table and do all the stuff.
Yep.
And we're gonna try to recreate this picture, but there's gonna be a lot more chaos.
From my point of view, drama is such a useful tool. Something on a flat piece of paper come off the paper and come to life. Children who might find that quite hard to connect with just looking at a screen or looking at a piece of paper, if they have the chance to actually act something out with their bodies, it becomes a lot more exciting. And for kids, I think especially, that can be a great tool for getting them interested and inspired by a bit of history.
Amazing. Fantastic. Fantabulous.
Amazing.
Fun.
Amazing.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Amazing.
Great.
Spectacular.
Refreshing.
Awesome.
Exciting. Totally fabulous.
Okay, so I'm Simon Ripley. I'm from the Double Elephant Print Workshop, and I'm here today in Exeter College, working with students from illustration and also with some fashion students. And the students are making monoprints, which involves them laying down a thin layer of ink. They're then tracing from the photographs themselves, from photocopies of the photographs, to give an image, and they're being selective in the way that they draw from the photographs. They can then work into the prints that they've made, withdraw ink, add ink, and then they're printing those. So they're taking the photographs really as an inspiration, as a starting point, and then developing them to draw out those aspects which particularly interest them.
Well, for me, I chose mine because I really liked the road. There's like a road leading up to this man, and I thought that was really, really lovely. Just like a really, really nice picture. So this is the photo on the background. and then that is what, like, that's just the sketch you do on top of the ink. I think it's really cool, just like, because it's where we're all from, and it's really fun to learn about like people who came before you, and especially things with the war, you know. It's good to like commemorate and in our own way like remember that.
It also helps us really just understand what people went through. I did a gas mask one earlier, but I'm now working on the town of Exeter.
I'm going to start using a map of Exeter as a base, and then I'm going to try and layer pictures of people over it. I just thought it would be an interesting look. I really like collage and how you can layer different images on top of each other while still keeping the main image like as clear as possible. So I thought if you could have a simple background layer that's basically just lines, like a map, and then the more recognizable figures like people coming through in different colors, it would create a really good visual effect.
Can't really see it, but there's like the lines were from the Exeter building now, so what Exeter looks like now, and then this was an old one, which I did.
I think I'd just like it to be a sort of remembrance of the things that went down in Exeter. It was quite an important hub during the World War because it was really near Plymouth, which was a port town. And so it ended up getting a lot of damage. And the longer that we commemorate that and the things that happened, the less likely something like that will happen again.
I suppose the important legacy of a project like this is to understand where we've come from and how the city has changed. There are some stunning photographs of the Blitz itself and the aftermath of the Blitz, and the reconstruction that took place after the Second World War has, you know, really characterized the city. So it's great to be able to understand that history, that development, and contextualize how the city is today and, you know, why it is like it is.
We've cleaned and digitised fragile glass plates, rescued tens of thousands of acetate negatives affected by vinegar syndrome, and uncovered stories that speak to Exeter's resilience, identity, and everyday life. And just as importantly, we've watched people connect with these images, sharing memories, sparking conversations, creating new artwork, and discovering the city through fresh eyes. But the project doesn't end here. This is only the beginning of the next chapter. Thanks to extensive digitisation work, the Isca Photographic Collection will soon be available for everyone. Researchers, families, students, and anyone with a link to Exeter will be able to explore these images, many unseen for decades, through exhibitions, community events, and a permanent digital platform. Whether you're an Exonian born and raised, newly arrived, or simply curious about the stories this city holds, this collection belongs to you. Talk about it, share it, use it, and help us continue uncovering the people and places in these photographs, because this isn't just history. It's a living archive, one that grows stronger every time someone looks closer, asks a question, or recognises a familiar face. Thank you for being part of the journey so far, and welcome to the future of the Isca Photographic Collection.